Australia just introduced a new right to disconnect law, which is effective in August of 2024, which grants employees the legal right to refuse work-related communications outside of contracted hours, which aims to improve work-life balance and address a growing issue of constant connectivity in the digital age. Australia is one of the countries that's considered to have a culture of excessive working hours, where employees typically perform an average of 5.5 hours or so of unpaid overtime weekly. This would be about 230 hours annually and, hundreds of billions of dollars in unpaid work. So by allowing the workers to disconnect, the law is expected to improve mental health and mitigate workplace injuries. Several other countries have done this already. France pioneered the right to disconnect in 2017. Other countries with similar laws would be Belgium, Italy, Argentina, Chile, Luxembourg, Mexico, Philippines, Russia, Slovakia, Spain, and parts of Canada. Different countries enforce it in different ways. In Belgium, their law encourages discussions in health and safety committees rather than mandating strict enforcement. In general, the European Union's research shows that over 70% of workers in companies with right to disconnect policies view the effects positively. Most of the countries I mentioned, I think, are probably more labor-centric as far as, having unions and things. And I don't know how much that plays into it. My experience with this has been, it changes over time. I mean, when I was younger and had my first couple of jobs, they did have overtime. And I would find myself working weird hours and so on. It's not so much that. I think this is dealing with, it's more the concept of feeling like you have to be available all the time. And I suppose to a large degree that depends what kind of work you're doing. When I was younger, as I said, I would work overtime quite a bit, voluntarily and, mandated. And I didn't really mind. We needed the money. As I got older and we had kids, it became less attractive to do that. Then after the kids left home, again, it was okay as far as being extra money and that kind of thing. And my job in IT, which is what I've done for most of my adult life, there's a kind of tacit understanding that you are available when things go bad, because stuff doesn't go bad necessarily during working hours. So, but I have to say, I still don't particularly mind it. It hasn't been excessive in my experience for me. And generally, I don't get paid overtime. I work for in a government job, and I'll get, compensatory time off rather than paid overtime. Understandably, most employees have responded positively with this, with like 78% more likely to work for a company with a clear right to disconnect policy. And some industry groups, of course, in Australia's case, such as the Australian industry group, have criticized the law as, hasty and potentially confusing for both employers and employees. Concerns have been raised about its practical implementation, particularly in industries, as I mentioned, like IT, where after-hours contact is common or necessary. And I get it's a noble goal, because in mental health is something that we kind of take for granted, and when you're stressed the hell out all the time because you're always worried about work, it's tough. So I get where the proponents of this law are coming from, for sure. And I suppose to have the process codified at least is a good idea when disputes do arise. It's weird that should happen now, because the workplace is changing quite a bit with robotics, AI, moves to shorter hours, shorter work weeks. I mean, what do you folks think? Is this generally a positive thing? I think it probably is. Or are we just going overboard with, regulation again? I mean, it seems to be fairly well received in the countries that it's implemented in now, and some of them have been going for a few years. So I guess it's just one more hurdle everybody has to negotiate, both, employers and employees, to get through the work week. Anyway, that was just my quick thoughts on that. So any comments are welcome. Feel free to subscribe, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks.